I crushed an eggshell this morning. I was making breakfast. I cracked the egg. And before the shell even hit the trash, my fingers were already breaking it into tiny pieces, automatically, without thinking. Not because I think a witch will use it as a boat. That's the actual origin of that superstition, by the way. In old European folklore, they believed witches could sail in eggshells. Sounds ridiculous. But my grandmother didn't tell me that story. She just crushed the shells every morning, and I watched her. And now, 20-something years later, I can't stop doing it. She's been gone for years, but every time I throw away an eggshell, her hands are inside my hands. There are things we do every day that we don't actually believe in. Small rituals, quiet habits, rules with no logic behind them. And most of the time, and we don't even notice we're doing them, until one day we catch ourselves mid-act and think, wait, why am I doing this? That question led to everything you're about to hear. My grandmother's kitchen smelled like flour and black tea, always, even in summer. She had this tiny kitchen in a village house, and everything she did in that kitchen had a rule. Don't put bread upside down on the table. It's disrespectful. Don't hand someone a knife directly. Put it on the counter and let them pick it up. Don't whistle at night. It calls the devil. Don't open an umbrella indoors. She never explained why. She never said, because this bad thing will happen. She just said, we don't do that. And that was enough. When you're 7 years old and your grandmother says, we don't do that, you don't ask for a peer-reviewed study. You don't Google it. You just stop doing it. The thing is, I'm 41 now. I have access to all the information in the world. I know that bread doesn't care which way it faces. I know whistling doesn't summon anything. I know these are just old stories passed down through generations. But my body doesn't know that. My body is still 7 years old in that kitchen. A few days ago, there was a construction ladder leaning against a building, right across the sidewalk. A normal person would walk under it and keep going. I stopped. My brain said, you're a grown woman. Walk under the ladder. Nothing will happen. You know this. My legs said, we're crossing the street. And I crossed the street. At 41, with a university degree, with full knowledge that a metal ladder has no power over my future. But it wasn't fear. It wasn't superstition in the way we usually think of it. It wasn't a genuine belief that something bad would happen. It was a reflex. The same way you flinch when someone pretends to throw something at your face, even though you know they won't. Your body doesn't wait for your brain's analysis. It just moves. My grandmother installed that reflex, and no amount of logic has been able to uninstall it. When does a superstition stop being a superstition and become a tradition? Think about it. We knock on wood. We say, bless you, when someone sneezes. We throw salt over our shoulder. Most of us don't believe these things actually do anything, but we do them anyway. And nobody calls us irrational for it. They call it culture. But if someone says, I won't walk under a ladder, suddenly they're being silly. What's the difference? The difference is how many people do it. When everyone does it, it's tradition. When only you do it, it's superstition. But the mechanism is exactly the same. Someone taught you. You absorbed it. And now it lives in your muscle memory. My grandmother had dozens of these. Spilling salt means a fight is coming, so you throw a pinch over your left shoulder to blind the devil sitting there. If your right palm itches, money is coming. If your left palm itches, money is leaving. Don't cut your nails at night. Don't step on a crack. I don't believe any of these, not one. But I still throw the salt. I still check which palm is itching. And I definitely don't cut my nails at night. The question isn't whether I believe. The question is whether belief was ever the point. Our bodies carry more than we give them credit for. My mind has moved on from 100 things my grandmother believed. I've updated my worldview. I've read books. I've traveled. I've questioned everything. My brain is a modern machine, but my hands are still in that village kitchen. They still crush the eggshells. They still won't hand someone a knife. They still knock on wood. And I catch myself doing it mid-sentence in a conversation and think, where did that come from? It came from her. And here is the part that surprises me. I don't want to stop. I tried once. I deliberately threw an eggshell in the trash without crushing it, just to prove to myself that I could. I stood there, staring at the trash can for about 10 seconds. Then I reached in and crushed it anyway, It's not logic. It's not belief. It's something older than both of those things. It's the feeling of her presence in a moment where she is otherwise completely absent. Maybe that's what superstitions really are. Not predictions, not magic, just fingerprints of people who are gone. Here is the thought that hit hardest. My daughter is 13. She doesn't crush eggshells. She has never seen her great-grandmother do it. She doesn't know about the bread rule or the knife rule or the salt rule. She didn't grow up in that kitchen. I am the last person who carries these. When I stop, and someday I will, those specific habits, those specific reflexes that my grandmother put into the world, they end. Not superstition in general. Those will always exist in some form, but her version, her specific way of crushing the shell, her specific flinch at the ladder, her specific knock on wood. 2 quick taps with the knuckle, always twice, never once. That ends with me. I thought I would feel relieved by that, like I'm the rational generation that finally broke the chain. But I don't feel relieved. I feel like I'm holding something fragile, and the moment I stop paying attention, it disappears. My grandmother didn't pass down superstitions. She passed down proof that she existed, and my hands are the last place where that proof still lives. We judge superstitions too harshly. We treat them like they're the opposite of intelligence, like practicing a superstition means you've failed some kind of rationality test. But what if superstitions are actually a form of emotional inheritance, like a recipe that doesn't taste the same when someone else makes it? Or a lullaby that only works in one specific voice. My grandmother couldn't leave me money. She couldn't leave me property. She couldn't write me a letter full of life advice. She barely finished primary school. But she left me this, a way of moving through the world that has her signature on it. Every time I crush an eggshell, I am, in some small way, keeping her alive. Not in a mystical sense, not in a spiritual sense, in a muscle memory sense, in the most physical, tangible, body-level way possible. Her hands trained my hands, and my hands remember. That is more valuable than any inheritance I could have received. You can spend money, you can sell property, but you cannot sell the way someone taught you to hold an eggshell. I'm going to keep crushing eggshells, not because I believe something bad will happen if I don't, but because something good happens when I do. For 2 seconds, in a kitchen thousands of kilometers from where I grew up, in a life my grandmother never could have imagined, she is there. Maybe that's reason enough. Maybe superstitions aren't about the future at all. Maybe they're about the past refusing to leave your hands. If there's a superstition you don't believe in, but still can't stop doing, leave it in the comments. I want to know what your grandmother left in your hands. And if you see a ladder on the sidewalk, honestly, just cross the street. It's easier.